Good morning. My name is Dan Scripps, Chair of the Michigan Public Service Commission, and I call this meeting of the Commission to order on March 15, 2024 at 10 o'clock a.m. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chair Scripps.
Present.
Commissioner Peretick.
Present.
Commissioner Carrion.
Present.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Today's meeting is being held in person at the Commission's office at 7109 West Saginaw Highway in Lansing, Michigan. We are also hosting this meeting remotely using Microsoft Teams. It is compatible with all browsers except Safari. Telephone relay service is available through the phone option. If you are participating via Microsoft Teams, you may also turn on the live captions by clicking on the More button at the top right of your Teams window, then clicking on Language and Speech from the drop-down menu, and finally clicking on Turn on Live Captions. As indicated in the notice for today's meeting, if we lose the remote connection, the Commission will not recess. The meeting will be recorded and available for future reference on the Commission's website. In addition, the Commissioners can receive comments via mpsc_commissioners@michigan.gov. For reference, this email is also included in today's meeting notice. We will have an opportunity for the public to make comments as provided in the agenda. A few notes about this. Comments are limited to 3 minutes and one per person. If you would like to make verbal comments, you must do so in person or remotely through Microsoft Teams or by calling into the meeting by phone. For individuals attending in person and who want to make a comment, please fill out a comment card. They are available at the front table near the podium. For individuals participating remotely by Microsoft Teams and who want to make a verbal comment, you may click on the Raise Hand button at any time to be queued up for comment. For individuals participating remotely by phone and who want to make a verbal comment, you may press *5 at any time to be queued up for comment. And public commenters on both Microsoft Teams and on the phone option are added to the same speaker queue and will be called upon in the order that they enter the speaker queue. Please do not lower your hand or press *5 again, or you'll be removed from the queue and lose your place in line. And finally, to minimize disruptions, attendees participating by Microsoft Teams or by phone will be muted until we reach the time for public comment. The first order of business is approval of the agenda for today's meeting, and I recognize Commissioner Peretick.
Thank you, Chair. I move to amend the proposed agenda for today's Commission meeting by removing item 4B5, case number U-21172.
I second the motion to amend the proposed agenda.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to amend the proposed agenda. All those in favor of the motion to amend say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The motion to amend the proposed agenda is approved. I recognize Commissioner Peretick.
I move for approval of the amended agenda for today's Commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve today's amended agenda. All those in favor of the motions to amend, of the motion, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The amended agenda is approved. The next item of business on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the March 1st, 2024 Commission meeting.
I move for the approval of the minutes from the March 1st, 2024 Commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the minutes from the March 1st, 2024 Commission meeting. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The Commission meeting minutes of March 1st, 2024 are approved. The next item of business on the agenda is the approval of orders and minute actions on the consent agenda. And today we're joined by Staff Attorney Charlie Kavanaugh. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Thank you. Good morning. Today's consent agenda consists of 6 communications matters, 3 electric matters, and 1 gas matter. The proposed orders and minute actions for these matters have been thoroughly vetted by the Commission's technical and legal staff and are ready for your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh. I move for the approval of the orders and minute actions on the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the orders and minute actions on the consent agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The orders and minute actions on the consent agenda are approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4A1 is case number U-14725, which involves a request filed with its March 1st, 2024 report by Michigan 211 to be redesignated as the 211 statewide coordinator for an additional 3 years until April 30th, 2027. The order before you conditionally grants the request as discussed in the order.
Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-14725.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-14725 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4A2 is case number U-21539, which involves an application filed by IM Telecom LLC, doing business as Infinity Mobile, for designation as an eligible telecommunications carrier for purposes of Universal Service Fund support for Lifeline only. The order before you conditionally approves the application as set forth in the order.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21539.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21539 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4B1 is case number U-20300, which involves an application filed by Alpena Power Company requesting ex parte approval of its amended integrated resource plan, including its proposed course of action as the most reasonable and prudent means of meeting the company's energy and capacity needs. The order before you approves Alpena Power Company's amended integrated resource plan and directs the company to file its next integrated resource plan or integrated resource plan amendment in accordance with the order by December 31st, 2027.
Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20300.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20300 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4B2 is case number U-20496, which involves an application by Consumers Energy Company requesting ex parte approval of a power purchase agreement amendment. The order before you denies the application as non-compliant with MCL 460.6J.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20496.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20496 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4B3 is case number U-21015, which involves a request filed by DTE Electric Company for approval of the company's 2024 annual true-up adjustment to the current securitization charges in conformity with the June 23, 2021 order in this docket. The order before you approves the request and accepts DTE Electric Company's 2024 annual true-up adjustment.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21015.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21015 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4B4 is case number U-21090, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company requesting ex parte approval of a power purchase agreement with Freshwater Solar LLC. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21090.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21090 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4B6 is case number U-21459, which involves an application by Consumers Energy Company requesting approval of a settlement agreement to amend a power purchase agreement. The order before you declines to approve the settlement agreement.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21459.
I second the motion.
And just a few comments before we vote on this one. And I want to speak to the merits of the order both before us in this item and also the order that we just approved under agenda item 4B2 that involved the power purchase agreement for the Lincoln Biomass Plant. While there were a number of purported benefits in both of these to accelerate the closure of these plants to May of this year, the concern that we have is around reliability, and specifically that even with the purported benefits in terms of cost, there were no purported benefits around reliability, and indeed the company conceded that it would need to rely on market energy purchases during the spring, summer, and fall months and market capacity purchases in the winter months as the proposed replacement projects to offset the retirement of these plants would be insufficient to meet their energy contributions during the spring, summer, and fall, and their capacity contributions in the fall. In addition, We also have concerns over the projected savings, which were ultimately based on unsupported assertions in the record. Turning to biomass more broadly, I think there is a challenge to a number of the biomass plants that operate in Michigan, and that's clear. It's also clear that these biomass plants play an important role, both in our electricity mix, where they account for approximately 20% of renewable energy in Michigan, as well in the rural communities where these plants are located. We recognize that as economic regulators, we cannot capture the full range of materials management, community, and other benefits that biomass plants provide. But we do want to pursue more accurate reflection of the energy-related attributes of these plants, and indeed raised that issue for questions in the February 8th order seeking comment on elements around implementation of the new renewable energy law. And those reply comments are ultimately due on March 22nd. Finally, we recognize that this is a unique situation, not least in the fact that this order would not approve a settlement agreement between the company and our staff. We don't do this often, and we don't do it lightly. We very much rely on staff's expertise across a broad range of our cases, and this is no different. But given the concerns outlined above, as well as some of the statutory provisions to consider IRP amendments that allow for IRP amendments to consider the full range of issues that would be outlined in an IRP, we feel like this is an important, appropriate, and necessary step. And we hope that this provides the opportunity for these plants to identify a better path forward. Is there any additional discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21459 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4B7 is case number U-21492, which involves a matter on the Commission's own motion to commence technical conferences to collaboratively consider and address issues related to the use and deployment of electric vehicles. The order before you expands the scope of the Vehicle to Grid and Energy Storage Work Group established in the December 1st, 2023 order in case number U-21297. Directs the Commission staff to file a proposed transportation electrification plan, filing process, and proposed schedule for filings in this docket, and establishes a comment period related to the staff's proposed transportation electrification plan filing process.
Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21492.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, thanks, Chair. First, I'd like to thank the cross-divisional group of staff members who not only helped organize this conference over many months and identified expert speakers for the event, but moderated discussions and did an outstanding job identifying recurring themes and key questions for further exploration. Accordingly, this order affirms the Commission's agreement with several points that emerged from the conference. First, continued collaboration and coordination through public-private partnerships and across sectors is necessary to address our state's transportation goals to support 2 million electric vehicles in Michigan with 100,000 chargers by 2030. Grid readiness that can sustain the additional load attributable to all EV classes is critical. Utility EV pilot learnings must be incorporated into permanent programs. Transportation electrification must be designed and implemented in a way that ensures equitable access to both the transportation modes themselves as well as the infrastructure required to support electric vehicle charging. And there should be a continuing analysis of rate design for EVs as the market matures over time. I want to commend our staff for taking the initiative to keep up with and engage in shaping the ever-evolving technology needed for transportation electrification at scale, as well as for leading discussions on this front, such as how to integrate equity into transportation electrification plans and what tariff proposals are best suited for energy storage and bidirectional EV charging broadly for all regulated electric utilities. And finally, I want to emphasize a critical outcome of today's order. In December, we opened a docket for utility transportation electrification plan filings and for input from interested parties on these plans and related issues. A separate filing for transportation electrification plans allows for planning, review, discussions related to transportation electrification outside of our time-constrained statutory 10-month 10-month rate case process. So to assist utilities in developing and filing these transportation electrification plans that integrate a variety of perspectives and considerations meaningfully, we've requested staff to propose a filing process by July 1st of this year, including expectations for public engagement. And importantly, utility transportation electrification plans should be coordinated with the same utility's distributed generation planning process, distributed grid planning process to consider grid capabilities and capacity and other programmatic opportunities when forecasting EV load growth. We aim to avoid siloing plan development and filings when these areas are clearly intertwined and all require significant input from multiple parties beyond utilities alone.
Thank you, Commissioner Carrion. Is there additional discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'd like to just highlight one piece of what Commissioner Carrion just aptly described and maybe give a little bit more reasoning behind my thinking on this too. I'd like to just note the process that we're asking for staff's help setting up the plan that is, setting up the transportation electrification plan that's coming out of this order. This new transportation electrification planning, or the TEP process that we're establishing, is meant to help bring some of the conversation and planning and analysis for the complex issue of ensuring a right-sized system for the challenges and opportunities brought by electric vehicles and other forms of transportation electrification outside of the rate case process. Our yearly rate cases contain thousands of pages of transcript and hundreds of pages of exhibits, and it really has become increasingly difficult for the staff and intervening parties to fully evaluate and respond to each one of the many issues within the allotted time. So the purpose behind a separate TEP filing is to provide an opportunity for much of that planning, review, discussion of this plan to occur outside of this tough 10-month process. And rate recovery decisions will still be made in rate cases, but I'm hoping this TEP process will aid in better decision-making and better outcomes for Michigan customers.
Thank you, Commissioner Paratek. We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21492 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4B8 is case number U-21500, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company for ex parte approval of its expedited pilot review work plan. The order before you denies the petition for intervention and the petition for rehearing, reopening, reconsideration, and clarification filed by the Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21500.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21500 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4B9 is case number U-21507, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company requesting ex parte approval of a third amendment to a power purchase agreement with Michigan Power Limited Partnership. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21507.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21507 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4B10 is case number U-21515, which involves an application filed by DTE Electric Company for ex parte approval of a power purchase agreement and an amendment to the power purchase agreement. The order before you approves this application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21515.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21515 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4B11 is case number U-21566, which involves an ex parte application filed by DTE Electric Company for approval of contracts for the development of the Trenton Channel Energy Center project. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21566.
I second the motion.
Just a few brief comments before we vote on this. There are times that the energy transition feels very distant. And then there are days where it seems to be unfolding in real time. And today is one of those days. Earlier this morning, DTE removed the stacks from the Trenton Power Coal Plant that has served that community in southeast Michigan for decades. And just a couple hours later, in this order, we're approving the go-ahead for the battery energy storage facility that will be built at that facility. We didn't plan this timing. We're not that good. But it is, I think, emblematic of the energy transition that's taking place as resources are retired, replaced with other resources, sometimes at the very same facility. And so I just wanted to remark on that before we vote on the order before us. Is there any additional discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21566 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4B12 is case number U-21585, which involves a motion filed by Consumers Energy Company seeking an extension of the time to comply with Part 3 of the rate case filing requirements, attachments 2-12 and 14-17. The order before you grants the motion.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21585.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21585 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4C1 is case number U-21387, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company for approval of a voluntary renewable natural gas program. The order before you approves the application, resolving all issues in the case.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21387.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Oh, I have a few comments, Chair. Thanks. This new voluntary program proposed by consumers would offer customers a choice to purchase up to 100% of their natural gas use to be sourced from renewable natural gas versus conventional or geological natural gas. The value proposition that consumers explains is associated with this voluntary program, whose cost would only be incurred by participating customers, is that by electing to use renewable natural gas, customers contribute to carbon emission reductions compared to conventional natural gas use. Importantly, consumers' witness testimony noted that the environmental attributes of the renewable natural gas supply are included with the customer subscription and will be retired on their behalf by the company with attestations provided upon request. Environmental credits will be verified through a third party on behalf of customers. And so that said, today's order approving this program underscores the need to include third-party verification of environmental attributes to ensure customers receive the value proposition they are seeking through a voluntary program, and that carbon emission reductions are indeed occurring through program participation. And this assurance from an external party is critical to maintain the transparency and accountability of the company in offering such a program. Therefore, the Commission has requested that beyond the annual reporting metrics consumers propose to document for the voluntary program, that the report also include total environmental attributes of annual renewable natural gas supply, including verified annual greenhouse gas emissions and reductions, to demonstrate how this program is indeed contributing to the important goal of decarbonization.
Thank you, Commissioner Carrion. Is there any additional discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21387 is approved. I'd note that this is Mr. Kavanaugh's first time reading as a staff attorney, and so we decided to allow him to fully dive into the process and loaded up the agenda with, I think, several dozen orders today. But for the last time today, I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Chair Scripps. Item 4C2 is case number U-21573, which involves an application by Titan Gas LLC doing business as Clean Sky Energy to become a licensed alternative gas supplier. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21573.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21573 is approved. We've now reached the time reserved for members of the public to address the Commission. As mentioned in the notice for today's meeting, we will take public comments in the following order. First from individuals attending in person, and then from individuals participating remotely, either through Microsoft Teams or the phone, who have entered the speaker queue. As a reminder, this public comment period is for commissioners to listen to comments and concerns and not to answer specific questions. When providing comment, please indicate your name and where you live if you are willing to share so that we have it for our records. And again, please limit comments to one per person and keep them brief, no longer than 3 minutes, so that we have a chance to hear from all who would like to comment. We have one comment card today. It's from Mr. Adam Hatchick. Mr. Hatchick, I welcome you to the podium. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you again as well. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity on this Ides of March. On the way over here, I guess maybe by fate, heard a pretty good one that Paul Smith had to say. He says, "Why don't you ever press a four-leaf clover?" Well, of course, everybody wanted the answer. It's so that you don't press your luck. And I don't know if I'm pressing my luck by coming out here for the third time, but I still don't have a good answer to my question that I posed so many months ago, well, at least 2 months ago, as to, what my risk is going forward with my position on that portion of the grid that supplies power to my house in Sterling Heights. And interestingly enough, there's a lot of gobbledygook that I get from DTE. In fact, the last time I was here, I talked with some of your folks, some of your staff, who assured me that they would put together a group to help me understand my concerns. Well, at 4 o'clock, after getting home back to the subdivision, I looked at my email, and lo and behold, here's an email from, I guess, the Consumer Affairs at DTE. And it says, "Dear Adam, the heat map showing the times for power restoration is not something that we provide. If there is a specific outage that you're referring to," okay, if there's a specific outage that you're referring to, and I mean, they know exactly what outage I'm referring to. 2, distribution map showing why my next door neighbor had electricity and I did not. So I get this map here, and when you look at the map, Commissioner and ladies, I'm in the green area, the same as my neighbors are in the green area. So how does this help me explain my risk? And then the last one is the logic. And the logic is that in 21, 3 sustained outages, 21, 7 sustained outages, 22, 3 sustained outages, 23, 5 temporary outages. So you would expect that things would get better, but they didn't. Why? That's all I'm asking. Thank you very much. Sorry for going 15 seconds over.
Not at all. Thank you, Mr. Hatch. Do we have any additional individuals in the room who would like to make public comment at this time? We do have one joining us from our virtual formats, Ms. Heidi Brown Drumhiller. I hope I got that right. We'd love to hear from you. You may have to press *6 to unmute if you're trying to unmute through the phone option.
All right, there I am. Okay. Thank you for
We can
giving
hear
me
you.
the opportunity to speak today. I am speaking on case number U-21-471. This is the proposed ITC route. My name is Heidi Brown Drumhiller, and I live at 4601 18.5 Mile Road. There's been some new developments that I want to make note on the file. For one, this is a marsh area, protected marsh. There's a 25 acres piece of land that goes through my property that is protected by ERDL, the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy. The whole entire marsh is protected. I don't know if you guys can see this, excuse me. This is a picture of my property. You can see in blue, we have a creek running horizontal, another creek running horizontal, and then a vertical creek. This actually kind of goes around the entire property. The Drain Commissioner of Calhoun County has spoken to me and we have talked about this, and there's an easement on all that blue area of 200 feet on either side of the creeks and the drains, the Nottawa drain and the Bolton drain. And he said this cannot be encroached upon. So that is a new development. Also, we have documented proof of the, and don't let me butcher this name, the Massasauga rattlesnake inhabits this area. In our county, in our surrounding counties, they haven't been the snake hasn't been sighted in years. We have documented proof that the rattlesnake lives in this marsh. Also, this week, the House passed a bill protecting the milkweed. Our marsh is surrounded by milkweed. It's everywhere to protect the monarchs. The monarchs are becoming endangered. They feed on this plant. They lay caterpillars on this plant, and the caterpillars actually, their only source of food is the protected milkweed plant. So I would also like to add that we now have a petition to protect this area. I'm a YouTube influencer. We have petitions from all over the country. We have right now over 1,000 petitions, and we are having a get together in May to help do a fundraiser or protect this area because it's so precious to us. I just wanted to add these comments to that case number, and I thank you so much for giving me your time today.
Thank you, Ms. Brown Drumheller. We appreciate you making time out of your day to provide those comments.
Okay, thank you very much.
I don't believe that we have anybody else queued up through the virtual options. So at this point, we will conclude the public comment period of the meeting. Please note that the public may always submit comments to the commissioners via email at mpsc_commissioners@michigan.gov. A few announcements before we close today. First, on March 4th, the Commission released its 2023 annual report. It's something that we submit on an annual basis to the Governor and to the Legislature to summarize the Commission's activities during the prior year. As I think many of you are aware, 2023 was an exceptionally busy year for the Commission, and 2024 looks to be no different. But I wanted to flag that the full report is available on our website. In addition, on March 4, the Commission held a public hearing in Detroit related to the implementation of the state's 2023 energy laws. Appreciate those who turned out. I enjoyed both hearing from people directly in the public hearing as well as some of the meetings we did with community organizations over the course of the day. And continuing our outreach, the Commission will hold a regular Commission meeting, the one that is scheduled for June 6th, 2024, in Grand Rapids. And additional details on that June 6th meeting in Grand Rapids will be forthcoming. And then finally, and I should have done this on the March 1st meeting, but I did want to note that March is National Women's History Month. This year's theme celebrates women who advocate for equity, diversity, and inclusion. This theme recognizes women throughout the country who understand the need to eliminate bias and discrimination from individuals' lives and institutions for a positive future. I am grateful for the opportunity to serve with strong women here at the Commission. Fully half of our division directors are women, and of course, a majority of the Commission itself are women, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve with the two of you. Are there any other additional announcements? Okay, well, that will conclude today's meeting. The next regular Commission meeting is scheduled for Thursday, April 11, 2024 at 1 o'clock p.m. Is there a motion to adjourn, Commissioner Paratek?
I move to adjourn today's Commission meeting.
I second the motion.
We will now have a vote on the motion to adjourn today's meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.